You ever tried nangs?
Yeah, but
Didn't inhale and never tried it again.
the burbs are awash with crystal meth, teachers can't stop kids vaping in class, and joggers are getting attacked by maniacs on cocaine benders. And the West Australian Government has brought its full force to bear on nitrous oxide canisters. Next up, helium balloons.
I really shouldn't be doing this.
Health Minister Amber Jade Sanderson has banned under-16s from buying nangs. There are concerns that nitrous might be a gateway drug and that if your 15-year-old daughter sucks down a nang on Sunday, she'll be mainlining smack in the PLC toilets come Monday. Amber Jade says that, amongst other things, inhaling nitrous oxide causes neurological damage and memory loss, which explains the behaviour of some of her cabinet colleagues.
If one was to try to logically reconcile Mr Quigley's evidence, you would be utterly defeated.
Well, you see those capsules everywhere, so they needed to do something.
They should have restricted the sale of nangs years ago when they started locking up the spray paint at Bunnings. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
As always, it'll be up to the cops to enforce the law, which they will, as long as it's not too complicated. When you think of a specialist detective squad, you think of this. You don't want to think of this.
The right to remain silent. Anything you do or say can be used, what's the next part? As a flotation device.
A couple of weeks after we learned that the skill shortage was forcing WAPOL to make it easier to become a uniform cop, it's emerged that we're also lowering the bar for becoming a detective. Would-be demons won't have to complete a component where they demonstrate certain abilities.
Like what?
Inconsequential things, such as executing search warrants.
This is a shithole.
Interviewing suspects.
I'm gonna make you eat a plate of human shit!
And compiling court briefs. Some cops reckon the workbook is a waste of time and this is a good thing. Others point to the fact that the workbook component itself replaced a formal legal exam and written application, so we're on a slippery slope to mediocrity.
They want to know what happened to their missing grandmother?
I have some deeply tragic news for you.
Fortunately, West Australian criminals aren't the masterminds you see on film.
You just got me.
If the cops are to believe, champion powerlifter Bradley Leslie Humble and bodybuilder Aaron Reese Hart have provided spectacular proof of this. The police case against two of Bunbury's finest centres on a plot to make an easy 25 grand by driving from Vegas to Canning Vale and cutting off a man's tongue and hands. Now, this case rang a bell with me, and it took a little while to work out why. It's the storyline to the Mark Wahlberg movie Pain and Gain. Muscle pigs at a local gym turn to crime to make a better life for themselves.
What's going on, DL?
You ever just get tired of being where you are, Adrian?
They even cut off a dude's hands. All old mates Humble and Hart had to do was watch the film in between AMRAPs at dungeon powerlifting.
I watched a lot of movies, Paul. I know what I'm doing.
The pair are accused of dressing up like cops and telling their victim they were detectives from the firearms squad. Now, I look like a detective from the firearms squad.
You think?
This dude does not. The court heard the guy who was about to lose his hands and tongue realised something wasn't quite right and refused to let Detective Hart and Detective Humble in the front door.
You know, cop.
They allegedly took off and were probably a little stressed out when they got a knock on the door a few days later from the real police.
There's got to be easier ways to make money.
Well, you could just be Mark McGowan. Turns out the $5.7 billion surplus Treasury predicted is actually an even $6 billion. The size of Mark's fortune was revealed on the same day that Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers unveiled a $32 billion deficit. The good news for Jim is Australian-made goods and services are about to become cheaper on the international market, which will boost the local economy. That's because the Aussie dollar is tanking as nervous investors rush for the safety of the greenback, although you'd have to wonder just how safe the US dollar is at the moment, given the people in charge of the American economy.
And I want to thank all of you here for including bipartisan elected officials like Representative Governor, Senator Braun, Senator Booker, Representative Jackie, are you here? Where's Jackie?
That's Joe Biden giving a shout out to a congresswoman he knows died in August.
I think she was going to be here.
I'm Ben Harvey. For more update, click the subscribe button below.